Hello landlords, it's Ernie. Today I'm back and talking all about funds in the court's registry. How'd they get there and what can you do to get your hands on them? Let's get started. Thanks to all of you who come back and watch and re-watch videos. For those of you who leave comments, that's always a big help for us. We love interacting with the people who are watching our videos. Those of you who enjoy our content, give us a like, and if you're not a subscriber, consider subscribing. So today's topic was suggested by one of the landlords in our Facebook group, Texas Landlords. If you're not a member, consider joining today. This landlord wanted to know, what can we do to access funds that are in the court's registry? And so today I'm going to talk about how funds get there and what you can do to access them. So in terms of an eviction, this is typically something that happens on the appeal level. So a tenant will file an appeal, and generally speaking, that tenant will either pay a cash bond or will pay a surety bond, or they'll fill out an affidavit that they are unable to pay either. However, the cash bond itself is set as security into the court's registry to protect a landlord who has otherwise won a judgment for unpaid rent from the justice court. These funds are paid into the court's registry so that upon appeal, when the landlord wins the case, they're able to exercise their judgment, collect what is in the court's registry, and apply that as a credit toward the judgment won on the day of trial. If someone pays a surety bond, essentially a third party is on the hook and the judgment can be exercised against that third party. But along with the affidavit of inability to pay, the surety bond comes with certain obligations that are not present with a cash bond. The surety bond and the affidavit of inability to pay, also known as the pauper's affidavit, require that the tenant pay monthly rent into the court's registry to begin the process. Let's say, for example, that a tenant files an appeal in the month of May, at the very beginning of the month. In order to maintain possession, one of the requirements for that appeal, whether they appeal through an affidavit of inability to pay, again, the pauper's affidavit, or whether they appeal through a surety bond, they are obligated to pay into the court's registry that month's rent. Now, I know that landlords are asking, well, why aren't they required to pay the previous month's rent? What if they're 5 months behind? Well, the rule is in order to stay on the premises through the course of the appeal, the tenant is required to pay rent during that time only. The judgment should cover the rest. The thinking is the tenant will pay May's rent in this scenario and each subsequent month into the county court. So the first payment goes into the justice court and each next payment should be paid into the county court. The tenant should receive an order from the court that instructs them that they are ordered to pay generally within 5 days, that first payment into the justice court's registry. Thereafter, they should be notified by the county court how to submit their payment into the county court's registry. But all of those funds are later lumped together in the county court's hands when the justice court delivers the case file to the county clerk's office. So let's say, for example, again, that eviction judgment was signed in May and the appeal was filed for in May, and the tenant pays 1 month's rent into the court's registry into the month of May, but that the final appeal trial is not heard until the month of July. Well, theoretically, the funds from the justice court have transferred to the county clerk's office, and the funds paid into the court's registry for the county court have been paid for the months of June and July. So at the time of the eviction trial, 3 months rent should be waiting for the landlord to apply to any judgment that the landlord happens to win in front of the county court. So there are two basic ways for the landlord to access the funds that are held in the county clerk's office at this time. If you are successful at the county court level, you are able to recover the amounts of rent paid into the court's registry held for you specifically for that purpose. The first way to access these funds is to attach an order to the final judgment at the county court. In my final judgment that I present to courts in these cases, I add language that awards any amounts that are in the court's registry, and before the trial, I will ask the clerks how much, if any, money is presently in the court's registry. That amount is then added to the judgment, and when the judge signs off that final judgment, those amounts are later awarded to my client. Now, this doesn't always work for a couple of reasons. Number one, if it happens that you get a speedy trial at the county court, you may not have at that time, at the time of the appeal trial, all of the funds that are due to you. Sometimes the justice courts take a little longer to transfer the funds to the county clerk's office. If at the day of trial you have some funds but not all funds, you should request the amount of funds that are present in the county clerk's office. But then you'll have to submit a motion later, and that's what we're going to get into next. If it turns out that you are unable to access the entire amount of funds that are otherwise owed to you and that the county is otherwise holding because of some delay, you can always later file a motion to disperse funds. This is something that we routinely do, particularly for landlords who have never accessed these funds. You may have funds waiting for years at the county clerk's office and just don't know how to access them. Well, whether it's years or just a matter of weeks, it's the same motion. You would file a motion to disperse funds in the court's registry. You would submit an order to the court and set the matter for a hearing. Now, that hearing doesn't necessarily have to be a live hearing. Depending on the court, you might be able to set a hearing by submission only. This is extremely helpful because it means you don't have to show up to the court, not even to a Zoom hearing. You simply file the motion, you set the matter for submission according to the court's rules. The judge will then review the motion and sign the order without an oral hearing. Once the order is signed, the county clerk's office will take care of processing the payment, and a check will be delivered to you in accordance with the order. That order should mention where the funds should be delivered. So long as the order clearly states the amount, the name of the plaintiff, and the address where the funds should be delivered, the county clerk's office will draft a check and mail the check out to you. Now, different county clerks are going to operate on different time schedules. I tend to tell clients that you can expect about 6 to 8 weeks for the process. So I hope all of you found this helpful, particularly those of you who have had funds trapped in the county clerk's office for months or years and just don't know how to get your hands on those funds. This is how you do it. If you are in a live trial, simply ask for it in your judgment, which is awarded to you at the time of trial. That could be done if the court has form judgments or form orders. You can maybe ask and they'll supply those to you. If you have counsel, naturally your attorney should be able to draft a proper order awarding those funds to you at the time of trial. However, if that hasn't happened and you are interested in securing those funds, set a motion and get the court to sign off on an order for you. If you need help, as always, I'm here to help. My contact information is here along the bottom of the screen, as always. Send me a text, give us a call, send me an email. If you need help transferring funds that are in the court's registry directly to you. And as always, landlords, I look forward to delivering content that you find useful and helpful. If there's something that you have in mind that you'd like for us to make a video about, don't hesitate to mention that in the comments below or by giving us a call or a text or an email. We always look forward to these opportunities to share this information with you. And until next time, landlords, happy leasing. If you enjoyed this video, we invite you to like and subscribe. Follow our links to even more great content. We're always adding to this collection. If you have a video topic you'd like to see, comment below.